Talk to me about Marie Nationale.
Oh, Lord above, Lord above.
Hello and welcome along to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel in association with Racing TV. Sorry that we've not uploaded a video in the last 2 weeks, but we did do the Road to Cheltenham Christmas immediate review with Ruby Walsh and Lydia Hislop over on the Racing TV channel. We're in a better mood than Ruby Walsh was for that video, and we do hope you've had a brilliant Christmas period, and I hope you have a very prosperous 2024, a profitable one as well, and hope you made profit over the Christmas period. I struggled. I think it was a pretty tough all round.
Yeah, very tough. Yeah, I had a very blank first few days at Leopardstown, which was well documented on Twitter. Kind of got out of jail a little bit on the last day, on the 29th, but I think the damage had been done at that stage. But no, great to be back home seeing friends and family for Christmas time. Obviously fantastic racing, and now you know when the turn of the year comes. We're only 3 months away.
Absolutely. We booked our flights this morning for the Dublin Racing Festival. Cannot wait to be there in a month's time. We've also got an announcement coming shortly about a couple of Cheltenham preview nights, so we do hope that you can come along to a couple of those. We did one in Birmingham last year, which was really enjoyable. Hopefully we get to do that one again. But on this video, we're going to fly through all the big talking points over Christmas, give our views, then preview the Lawlors of Naas on Sunday, and then give a Cheltenham Ante Post selection, a third selection that goes into our books. Right, we're going to have to absolutely fire through these. Yeah. Il est Français, in the Courto Star. We called him the French horse before. We said we didn't know anything. We got it completely wrong. We couldn't have got it even more wrong. He was absolutely electric. Absolutely
superb. Yeah, no, he's fantastic. The time gurus loved it. His jumping was superb. And I just couldn't believe how he kept going, from 2 out. Like, it looked like they were maybe making a challenge at him, and then he was able to go again.
Is the shame with this horse the fact that he is trained in France, and therefore he's not going to go down the traditional route of maybe go to the RSA now, and he's going to go down the French Gold Cup, or the Grand Steeplechase de Paris, or whatever, I don't know what it's called, and then possibly turn up in a King George. He might never run in a Gold Cup. Is that almost a shame about how good he was?
Yeah, a little bit. I suppose it slightly takes away. You can't disagree with why they're doing it. I think the Grand Steep is worth 3 times the amount that you'd get for winning the RSA, so you can't kind of begrudge the owners doing it and the trainer doing it. At the same time, it's hard to get that kind of close connection to the horse. Hopefully, we will see him in years to come, and maybe he might be that French horse that we haven't seen in the last 10-15 years, kind of to break the glass ceiling and get back in the winner's enclosure at Cheltenham.
Hermes Alem was decent. I was very disappointed by Giovinco. Did you take anything else from the race?
No, not particularly, other than the fact that I think Stay Away Faye may have broken Giovinco.
Yeah. He seemed...
It was a quick turnaround, to be fair. It was very soft ground at Sandown, only an 18-day gap. I'd allowed Giovinco for that, but you wouldn't have been in any rush to be backing him for Cheltenham after.
Constitution Hill, how good was he?
Fantastic. We didn't really learn an awful lot other than the fact that he's alive and well, but he's kicking horses aside like they don't exist.
The King George was some race. Shishkin actually seemed like he enjoyed the task, was going very well, 2 out, slip on landing or a slip on the flat. He then hampered Braveman's game, which was a devastating moment. And then Hewick from the clouds to the Shark. What a race that was.
Fantastic. And I can't believe how many miles Shark has put in over the Christmas period, because he obviously won the King George. He was over at Kempton on the 26th. I saw him in the tent after racing at Leopardstown on the 27th. I think he was in Catterick on the 28th because his son was riding. He was doing an absolute tour of the grounds. And fair play to him. That was clearly very much a case of if you don't run your horse in the race, you'll never get that. Mm-hmm. Very easy for a lot of people, probably us included, to go before the race, why are you running Hewick in a King George?
Not a Scooby, yeah.
Not a chance, you're just coming around for 5th or 6th place prize money. The race kind of upends at 2 out. I think Shishkin would have won, personally. I think Braveman's game was getting well the better of Allaho, though. So I think if Shishkin had done what he'd done, and it hadn't hampered Braveman's game in the slightest, I do think there was a chance that he could have won the race. That being said...
Please don't say that.
Well, I do think there was, though. But
so you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, but he was stuck to a standstill.
Can I count that as a second King George?
No, you can't. You can't do it. Hewick has done it, and he ended up outstaying them. It looked to me like he was the stronger stayer of the three after the last.
I agree. I was disappointed with Allaho.
He just looked flat.
He never. I know he was only beaten like 2 lengths or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I never thought he was going to win the race at any stage.
No, well, I thought he'd be out in front bowling along. I know Frodon kind of went out with kind of rushing.
Frodon's 17 at this point. He's been retired after.
Well,
it.
exactly. You know, I'd have thought Allaho at his best. Like Allaho of the Punchestown Gold Cup from 2 years ago would have been able to bowl along just as quickly, if not quicker, than Frodon and break him. He just looked flat, and it does bring into consideration, is he just not the same horse?
I wouldn't want to be backing him for a rider.
No, I wouldn't be in a rush.
Founder 50 beat Facile Vega at Leopardstown. Was Facile Vega just really disappointing? Is he not a 2-miler? Is he just a good horse without being a great horse? Is Founder 50 very good, although he's jumping out to his right? What went wrong?
Everything, really.
Do you think that was Facile Vega's true running?
No, of course it wasn't, you know, but at the same time he's now put in two runs like that at Leopardstown where he's blown out, and you know, it didn't look a very good grade 1 on paper beforehand. You know, you're up against 3 horses that you would have thought he was much better than.
In the pocket out for the season as well, so we're not really going to know what that beginner's chase form was like.
No, hard to know. I don't know, people were thinking in the pocket would reverse that form. I don't mind Patrick Mullins as a rider whatsoever, and he rode pretty confidently on the likes of Gaelic Warrior, who we'll touch on later on in the week. I just couldn't believe the ride he gave Facile Vega, though, to be honest. He lines up on the outside of Founder 50, who jumps right as a tendency, gets side-checked at the first. He's rushing him up then to lead, then he was pulling him back, he was inside, he was outside. Make up your mind. Like, I can't now, I've never ridden a horse, and for the people in the comments that are going to say, how many winners have I ridden? I've ridden none. But at the same time, I can't believe that having a horse in 5 or 6 different positions in a 4-runner race
it's going to be unsettling,
is advantageous.
No, and it was.
How many winners have you ridden?
I was asked that question a million times in the comments on that road to Cheltenham. It was.
We haven't ridden any.
Well, the thing is, thank you very much all of those who did go over and say a nice comment. It was very much appreciated and supported us when Ruby was in maybe a slightly, I'd say just fatigued after 4 days.
I think he'd had a long week, and I don't think he was maybe just in a great humour to see us.
And I can understand he's probably looking at us going, why on earth am I spending an hour with these two talking about the racing? They knew nothing. Probably
he might be right, yeah.
But there were a few comments negatively towards him, and in response there were a few hardcore Ruby Walsh fans who had something back for us, and that was very fair. But a lot of them did consist of, well, what do these two lads know? They haven't ridden a horse.
I do get that. I think, though, I'd like to hope we're not. I don't think we're unfair, and we are doing this. It's an opinions game.
We'll let the viewers decide.
Yeah.
We'll let them decide. Let us know in the comments if you watched it and what you thought. Django Bay won the Tolworth at Aintree, now renamed something else.
Formby, yeah. It's always the Tolworth.
Is this a really good race? Are we underrating him? Is the fact that the general feeling is that he's 3rd in line at Henderson's before obviously what happened at Newbury with Jericho de Repine and Willmount, does that take away from him? Does it improve their chances? Where do you sit with him?
I just think it's very easy to always like the horse that's sitting in the box.
Is it a case, do you know when Henderson was it Allard? Who finished 3rd or 4th in the Supreme, and a Chantry House. Is he going to be kind of one of those who could finish 4th in a Supreme and become a really nice staying chaser?
Maybe so, yeah. I really like him. I think he's a very likeable horse. He jumps well. He's now been in 2 battles in 2 races and has gotten the better of both of them. I think Farron Glory was coming to win his race when he came down. Obviously a long way out on soft ground at Aintree. Hard to say for definite. The way he hit the line in the Royal Bond, would have thought that he'd have been banged there. And look, Django Bay was good. I don't think it's supreme winning form.
In the Irish equivalent, we had 2 disappointments in Down Memory Lane and Daddy Longlegs, who both didn't seem to love the ground or whatever, just didn't run their races, or the first run of the season didn't repeat it. Colwell Potter won the race in treacherous conditions. Was that a case of a horse benefiting from 2 disappointments and really loving the ground, or is he a supreme horse.
Yeah, I think so. I think more the first point you made there. Look, Daddy Longlegs was beaten after a hurdle, I thought. Went down to the first, made a mistake, was on the back foot and never seemed to raise a gallop. Down memory lane, travelled okay, yeah. Just seemed to get stuck in the ground. Wouldn't be in any grand rush to be backing either of them, as giving up on, disappointments are disappointments at the end of the day. Colwell Potter was good. Predator's Gold, I think, is a nice horse, a horse that I'll certainly be keeping on side as the season progresses. Maybe a little bit more so than the winner, even though the winner won well.
Dino Blue won the 2-mile chase. Captain Gill is very disappointing yet again in a Grade 1. Is she going to win the Mares' Chase?
I'm coming to the conclusion, yes, just through...
Is she going to stay 2.5? Has she got to carry a penalty?
She does, but who's beaten her?
No, I'm just saying.
I've been trying to take her on. Geez, Allegory Devassi was appalling the other day at Fairy House. Who else is there? Limerick Lace for Cromwell. You'd think she's an inferior mare, as much as she's a strong stayer. I don't... Impervious is out for the season as of this morning, so it just looks like it's near on an open goal.
Talk to me about Marine Nationale.
Oh, Lord above. It was the best moment of Christmas.
And I like it.
I like it. Also, have you seen, though, there's this trend going around on Twitter now, people trying to get this Marine Nationale song to like the...
Feliz Navidad. Marine Nationale.
Yeah, no, but who are these punters? Like, these punters need to get a life.
You're not a fan then?
No. A year ago, we have I Like It, Marine and Mikey Big Stones, and he was absolutely phenomenal, I thought.
He was very, very good.
He jumped so well, and to be honest, the way the rest of that division is going, Fatso Vega blotting his copybook in the pocket.
He's a massive standout. It has to be.
I think if he jumps round at Cheltenham, he wins.
Did we see a Triumph winner in Sagino?
He'd want to improve. His jumping was okay. Nothing better than that. Has a big engine.
He does.
I think he's a horse for a couple of years down the line. I don't know whether he's street rise enough to win a Triumph hurdle.
I agree. Irish Point, Stayers hurdle horse.
Very much so, yeah.
I thought they went a crawl.
They did go a crawl, but this horse has a lot of class, I think. And there's nothing to suggest, there's nothing he's proven in his life that he doesn't stay.
No, but do you think he's better than Tiupu?
I think he's a classier horse than Tiupu, yeah.
Is he a better Stayers hurdle candidate than Tiupu?
Yes, I'm going to say.
You do?
Yes.
You think, given the option, Kennedy would ride him?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, I disagree. I think Tiupu's number one for that.
Well, yeah, no, but they keep saying that he's number one for that and all that, but I just can't. I know he looked a better horse at Ferry, as I can understand.
He's stronger,
he's welcome.
Older.
Yeah, this is all great stuff. But at the same time, he didn't win the Stayers last year. That was an abominable race.
On awful ground.
Yeah, but he wants awful ground.
Yeah,
he can't run on anything other than soft ground.
I don't know.
Like usually you could use that as a valid excuse, but this horse wants bad ground.
I don't think he's as good as him.
I think this horse is a really, really good horse.
Do you think if over 2.5 he'd beat him?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think he'd beat Impero Pass over 2.5? Because that's what Tiupu did.
Yeah. I think there's a chance.
You are team Irish Point. I am team Tiupu.
I like Tiupu as a horse, but I think I just really, really like Irish Point because I think he's got a bit of pace. I don't think Tiupu has that much pace, and I know people are going to say that you don't necessarily need pace for the Stayers hurdle, but I don't know. I just love the way Irish Point does it. He's a head down, jumps well, travels well, stays. So much to like.
There was a very, 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 very big 3-mile Grade 1 chase in the Savills chase. That being because we had big profiles going into it. Some unbeaten over fences or had, people talking about Gold Cup with Jerry Colombe. We had horses like Aflutard who needed to bounce back, and then we had Galopin de Champs who was winless in 2 and needing to show how good he was after his devastating performance in the Gold Cup last year. I think this is as good as we've ever seen Galopin de Champs. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Paul Townend had made up his mind for him. He sent him on slightly more aggressive. They know he stays, and it was just immense.
Well, it reminded me of when he won his beginner's chase at Leopardstown, where he just went out in front and he jumped superbly, and then he blew out, and won by 20 lengths. But he was doing that to a really good Grade 1, field. I know Fast or Slow didn't end up running. I know connections of Jerry Calam have come out and said that they didn't necessarily thought he ran up to his best. I can understand that in regards to you'd have thought he'd have finished well clear of Capodanno, and he only beat him a half length or something like that. But at the same time, there's times where I'm going to have to say I told you so, and not to you, but I've gotten pelters for 6 months on this channel in the comments about Jerry Calam saying he wasn't going to be quick enough, and he isn't quick enough.
For a Gold Cup or for this?
Both. He's just not quick enough. If people start saying the 2 furlongs extra, like Statler people they come out of the fields every year to annoy me. They just probe at me from afar to just rile me up, and it gets me like this, and I get riled up when the horses won the Gold Cup by 23 lengths. Jerry Calam will not beat Fast or Slow, and Fast or Slow I don't think will beat this guy. So I don't know where that leaves you. He could come third.
So Galopin back-to-back Gold Cups.
I think so, and I think his strongest and biggest danger is Fast or Slow.
Gaelic Warrior.
Very good horse. Jesus.
What did you think of Patrick and the spat?
I think there's a little bit of that kind of hierarchy in the weighing room that we're never going to quite get, of you shouldn't really be going up people's insides, especially on horses that are going to jump out towards there. The thing I didn't agree with at all is, there's loads of people at Limerick, a lot of people there that are not necessarily racing fans. You're wanting to attract, everything these days is about attracting new people. A lot of people will have been there for the first time. Is it really a good sight on your feature race to have some lads having a Barney after the line? Keep that stuff for the weigh room, in my book. If there's a spat to be had, fair enough, have it, but they're cousins. They could have it at home. He doesn't need to be waving his whip at Danny Mullen.
Going back to the performance itself, does this horse just win the Turners?
I think he's the best horse in the Turners, yes. I'd want to see him at the DRF.
Going left-handed.
Going left-handed. It would just be a small concern. He didn't look that unsteerable in the Ballymore, though. To be fair, he ran a perfectly good race in that last year, and if he repeated that form, he probably would win this race. As I say, I think he's the horse of the biggest amount of ability, and I think he should win.
Ballyburn back to his best?
He was very good, yeah.
He was very good.
Yeah, you can take the floor on him. He was absolutely excellent.
I think he just relished a step up and trip. I think he's one of those which is really classy. He clearly stays 2.5 very well. He's got a turn of foot because his first performance being beaten 2 or 3 lengths by Firefox was not bad in the slightest. And I think he's just probably come on for the run as well. People talking about him going back down to 2 for the Supreme. I think the tricky thing is, where do you run him next? The obvious point would be the Dublin Racing Festival, but you've got an option of 2.6, which is probably too far, or 2 miles, which he's been beaten over 2 miles this season already and has improved for the step-up. I actually think he will run in the 2 mile race, the Grade 1.
Yep.
And I still think he'll turn up in the Ballymore.
Well, I cannot see him running in the 2.6.
No.
Because that's really kind of a
Bartlett
Bartlett run, yeah. Like, is surely a Lecky Watson or he's got heaps of Lachlan or something like that can run in that.
I agree. I think he'll run in the 2 mile race, but I still think he'll go to the Ballymore.
Like Sir Gerhard.
Sir Gerhard did. Grange Clare West was very good. He put 2 performances back to back. That was a big doubt of yours. Has he slightly improved in your mind about that?
Very much so. Yeah.
Any chance at Cheltenham?
He has to, yeah. He's a good jumper. He's a strong traveller. He's got all the ability in the world. I think it's just about kind of getting it together. Hard to know about the form. Corbett's Cross is a funny horse. Can't get my finger on him. He just doesn't jump well enough.
No.
And Flooring Porter was awfully disappointing.
Stateman beating Imperial Pass. Imperial Pass probably going to go to Stayers now. Stateman just as good as he was at Imperial Pass, not quite as good as Stateman.
Yeah, I think Stateman just gave it the El Mourinho respect to Imperial Pass. Everyone can talk about you, but I'm the king at Leopardstown.
Jalon Dudery in the bumper.
Oh.
Beat Redemption Day. He's proper. I think I've tweeted this, but he reminds me of Envoy Orlen in his bumper days. Like, clearly just a proper big 3 mile chaser of the future, but is professional.
Has a bit of speed.
And has a bit of speed and is going about it well. Like, he is a Ballymore horse next year all over. And he just looks yeah, top class. Probably the best bumper horse we've seen this season so far.
Yeah, I think that race could well be the best we've seen so far.
Yeah, but interesting to see if we see Romeo Coolio at all. Apparently he's the better one. Another name.
How much do you love the horse sitting on the sidelines?
No, but as in, I absolutely
for the next one.
No, I love, but as in,
this horse is a machine.
But even in the interview after, when Gordon was saying, yeah, you know, this lad's going to go to the champion bumper, he still said, oh, we've got a couple at home though, and I think that's aviation, and I think it's Romeo Coolio.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But Gordon's saying this as if he's like playing starters orders though, and he's got two horses that he's suddenly going to run in the champion bumper first time out, and they're going to win.
Yeah.
He's gonna
as
much as they could be very good horses. Geez, they'd want to be serious.
Yeah, I also wouldn't want to be backing Romeo Coolio because I think his setback is probably slightly bigger than they thought. Yeah, and I just wouldn't surprise me if they saved him for next season. Jericho de Repene at Newbury, good.
It's grand. Yeah, he did the job.
You don't agree with the hype, do you?
I find it hard because Nicky's done this before, and you try to take these horses on at Cheltenham, and then they just win, and you go, well, he was as good as they thought. He hasn't done anything that's actually been that impressive. Like, he's won 2 races that were pretty much egg and spoons, and he's won them both very impressively, but he hasn't been extended in either of them. Yeah, I'd like to try to take him on in the Supreme, personally.
Captain T.
That was a slow motion finish of all.
It's quite a grueler, wasn't it? I didn't really enjoy that. I know Paul Nicholls has won the shallow, and that should be what I love, but I didn't love that.
No, well, I didn't love the way he was there on the bridle at 2 out, and then he was walking over the finish line. No, all of them were walking.
I wouldn't want to back any of those front 4 in another race next time out.
No.
That was just a grueler.
Yeah, it was a real grueler, yeah. Not even bunch of bouncing New King babes.
No, he was good.
How well's he done with that?
Yeah, he was good. He was Look Away was good.
No, I wouldn't. I'd be with you there. I don't think that form is. No, I think the form actually might be okay. It's just they've had proper races there.
A couple of performances then before we talk about the Laws of Naas. So Gerhard, back to his best.
Oh no, not his best, but... Is
he going to win the Stayers Hurdle?
No, won't stay 3 miles in my money. For my money.
I agree.
I think he's the type of horse, though, that could come down to the last and you think he might be winning the race.
What would you say to the people that say he's won a 3 mile point to point?
It was years ago, and they absolutely hack round in point to points. You know, it's not like it's falsely run races a lot of the time. And just last year over fences, he had 1 or 2 cracks at 3 miles, and he didn't look like he stayed. Didn't look like he stayed in the RSA. Didn't look like he stayed at Punchestown. He looks absolutely tailor-made for 2.5 mile hurdles.
I agree. Bob Ollinger.
Exact same.
Exactly the same.
I thought he was really good, actually. He was good to see. He jumped really well.
He's so quick. I think he'd have more chance of running a really big race in a champion hurdle than I would a Stayers. I think that you probably have Constitution Hill and you have State Man, and I think he could finish 3rd in a champion hurdle.
Well, this is it. Like, Zanahiyr came 3rd in the race last year. You'd like to hope that Bob Ollinger would beat Zanahiyr. He beat him in the Liz Mullen a few starts ago, and I think he's just a quicker horse. He jumps really slick. It was good to see that good jumping back. He's a very good horse, Bob Ollinger, on his day. He's just a tricky horse to place.
Nick Rocket.
It was a case of job done, really. It was a winnable beginner's chase. He did win it. My Immortal was 3rd. I know the horse I talked about and the horses to follow. I'll be all over him. I really hope they run him in the Novices Handicap Chase Final at Navan the week before Cheltenham, and we will have our day.
Rocket's going to be in the National Hunt Chase, isn't he?
I think so, yeah. He's just a slow beast.
I think he's a good beast, but
he is a good beast, but he's not better than Grange Clare West, though, is he?
No, they've got Fact to File and...
It's a pain in the absolute backside, is what it is for those of us that have backed him for the Brown Advisory, but these things happen.
Right, that is our Christmas review. We're going to maybe touch on a couple of others in the Ante Post discussion later, but we're going to save those. A very quick preview of the Lawlors of Naas. We've got Firefox in there, who heads the market. We've got Il Atlantique, who's 2nd in, but is drifting, so might go towards Moscow Flyer. Chapeau de Soleil being backed. Croke Park and Tuba. Looks a good race.
Yeah, it looks a good race.
Is this a race that Firefox is going to pick up and win?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think he's the best horse in the race. I really like him. Obviously, the Ballyburn form looks exceptional.
I've got to say, I know of backstay still for 25s for the Ballymore, and I think he's 12s now. A Firefox is everything that I would want in a Ballymore horse. He is quick. I think he'd stay. He's big. He's a proper chaser for the future. He's just quality.
Yeah, and I'd like to hope he'll show that. You know, obviously the same connections had Ginto to win this race a few years ago. Very different horse, probably in some respects, in terms of he was a bit slower at that time. But I felt that, like, for the Morans, they've had an awful lot of bad luck. Ginto being top of that pile of bad luck. But this is the best horse I reckon they've had, and I really hope he just stamps his authority on it.
In Atlantique.
Looks like they may run him in the Moscow Flyer. They have to do it with one of them, because their 2 mile novices don't look very good at the moment. So something has to step down. Chapeau du Soleil I'd like to take on in this race. Just not so sure about his attitude until I see it. He could prove me wrong. Croke Park, a horse I've backed for the Bartlett. He was my last Ante Post selection. I think he'll run well. I don't think he'll win, but I just hope he runs well. And if he runs well, then get him up to 3 miles.
I think Firefox will go and win this impressively. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Right, now it's time for the third Ante Post selection. We've got a couple of minutes to do this.
Yep.
Take it away.
Yeah, well, we've got one misfire and one looks okay for me so far.
Go through them?
Yeah, Buddy won for the Stairs Hurdle. It was a punt after the November meeting at 33s. Hasn't worked out. Unfortunately, went wrong before the last at Leopardstown as well, so I suspect he'll be out for a little bit. And Croke Park at 20s for the Bartlett.
I like that.
I think that's a lot more better. I'm going to go for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. I know there's Dysardinos in there. I know there's Brighter Days Ahead in there. Both good mares, not taken away from either of them. They could be very, very good, you know, markers for this race. But they're about 4 to 1. I think they're short. And at 14 to 1, I was really taken by Jade de Grugy at Christmas time at Leopardstown. Beat Butcher Hollow by 15 lengths. Looked like she had an awful lot of speed. Butcher Hollow's a well-regarded horse for Tom Cooper, cost 200 grand. She's just the absolute ideal type of horse for this race in terms of she's a stayer but has speed. And I think you do need to stay over 2-1 at Cheltenham. They usually run it very quickly. I think there's an awful lot to like about her. And she's 14 to 1. I don't make her a 14 to 1 chance. I make her half that, to be honest. And I think she'll hopefully be a good big contender come the day.
I like it. Is that your first Willie Mullins horse in the book?
It is. Thank goodness.
Interestingly, I'm going to copy you. So far I've got Slade Steel at 25 to 1 for the Ballymore, and Absolute Notions at 10 to 1. No, sorry, at 20 to 1 for the Potemps. The plan remains the Potemps. He will either go to Warwick on Classic Chase Day. I think that ground might be grim as well. So he'll probably go to Exeter on the 11th, and it's going to be extremely obvious what connections are planning when he's going to Exeter, and Gordon Elliott's got a runner there. And
he's going to have to throw another something at the card to make it look less obvious.
yeah. But what is quite nice is the fact that we should get a rough idea of what his British mark will be, because he runs at both of those. So it's almost a blessing in disguise. Obviously, it lessens his options if things go wrong for whatever reason. He doesn't qualify, then we're in trouble. But I think he's a good horse, and hopefully he does go and do that. So this one's not trained by Robcour. Sorry, owned by Robcour. Trained by Robcour. Owned.
Well done. They do it all.
Brian Aitken.
He does it all these days.
Took 4 out of trainer's license. I've gone for a horse who was very, very impressed with over the Christmas period, and that was Stormheart at 7 to 1 in the Triumph Hurdle. I think him and Burdett Road have been the 2 standout juveniles that I've seen. I was impressed with Bunting. I wasn't blown away. I didn't think Sergino would be streetwise enough. I agree with what you said earlier. And then there are a few horses in there that we've not seen. The Madgebras, Salvatore Mundi, we've not seen either of those yet. Big reputations. They might be kept for next year. Carla Conti's in there as well. I think that she's limited. I think she obviously won the race at Christmas, but I don't think she's a top class horse. Cargese was probably slightly unlucky, but I've just gone for Stormheart. I was really, really taken the way that he won at Punchestown. Think that he could be the mount of Paul Townend in the race at Dublin Racing Festival, the Spring Juvenile. I think he could go and win that one, and then we're sitting on a 2 or 3 to 1 shot for the Triumph Hurdle, and I just think he's top class. And for some reason, I just don't love Burdett Road for the Triumph. I think he could get beat. Yep. So Stormheart goes in for me at 7-1. It's the shortest price of the one so far, but we're getting to that time of year where we can possibly take slightly less of a risk and go for one that we've seen and been impressed with. So Stormheart for me will win at the Dublin Racing Festival, then goes and wins the Triumph. Right, we do hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do get your comments down below. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.